Alright, so in today's video I'm going to be ranking every single sword, not just for grinding, but also for PvP, and then instead of just a normal tier list, I'm going to be ranking it worst to best, and then easiest to get to hardest to get. So that way you have a good idea of, for your time, what's going to be the best sword for you. It's just a little bit different than what anyone else has out there, and I wish I had something like this when I was new to the game. And up first is the Bazinto. I'm gonna give it one of the best. Definitely for grinding. For PvP, it's meh. It's definitely not a bad PvP sword when you're learning and like still in the first or second C. So I'm gonna put it like right in the middle here. I think you have to be around level 200 to get it, and it's gonna cost $1 million. But I'm gonna put it a little bit more on the easy side. And then we got the Buddy sword. It's not the best. It's not the worst. It's got good range overall. I'm gonna put it like kind of close to the middle, and just because you have to defeat Cake Queen to get it, I'm gonna put it a little bit more towards the hard to get. And then we have the, how do I pronounce this? Canvander, I guess. But anyways, it's not the best sword either. It's got some potential. If you really know what you're doing, it's good. But because it takes some skill, I'm gonna put it a little bit more on the worst side because it's just not brain dead like some of these other swords. And then as for easy to hard to get, just because you have to beat Beautiful Pirate for it, and I think it's actually harder than Cake Queen. I'm gonna put it right about here. It's not the best, not the worst. Nothing about it is notable. Cursed Dual Katana, it's probably the hardest to get. I don't have the Triple Dark Sword on here. If I did, it would definitely be the hardest, but it's probably the best, and it's also probably the hardest to get. Next up, we have the Cutlass. It's pretty much the worst and the easiest to get. Then what else do we have here? We have the Dark Blade. Yesterday's video on it, I called it the Dark Sword. Still kind of cringing about that, but it's the Dark Blade for those of you that also get the name mixed up on it. It's one of the best. I'm going to say it's a little bit better than the Bazinto. Just because it costs Robux, I'm going to say it's semi-hard to get. And then we have the Dark Dagger. It's good. It's not the best. It's kind of just a fun sword to play with. And because you have to be injured for it, I'm going to say it's rather hard. It's not impossible, though. It's got a pretty low drop chance. I think like 2%, something like that. So that part kind of sucks. Then we have the Dragon Trident. I'm going to say it's arguably one of the best. I'm not going to say it's the best, but it's really darn close to it. Good sword, good AoE attacks. Just overall, it's fun to play with. And it's semi-easy to get. So I'm gonna leave it like that. And then we have the dual-headed blade. It's all right. The moves are pretty good, decent range, AoE on them. Not the best, not the worst. I'm gonna put it right about here, and it's pretty much the same to get as the Bazinto. So it's right on par with that. And then we have the dual katana. Pretty much the worst and one of the easiest to get. So I'm gonna put it like right here. And then what do we have here? The Gravity Cane. It's almost clicked. Well, not almost. I did click the wrong thing. But anyways, I'm gonna say it's among the best, and it's pretty darn easy to get. I'm gonna put it like right about there. Really good pull move, good stun move on it as well. The range on it isn't the greatest. It's like a off-brand, what's it called? Spiky Trident. So. And if you hear me getting quiet here for like a half a second, it's just because there's so many swords with so many different names that I have the wiki pulled up on the side in case I forget a name. Then we have the Hallow Scythe. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say it's not the best, not the worst. It's semi-hard to get, but I'm going to put it right about there. It's good. It's got some combo potential, but it's not as good as the Dragon Trident. The Mace, it's just straight there. It's not the best, not the worst. It's more on the bad side. I'd say it's almost the worst, and it's pretty easy to get. I'm just gonna put it right there with the dual katana. Then we have the Jita, and this thing is actually kind of good. It's kind of troll. It used to be better before they revamped the swords, but it's still about the same exact thing. So I'm gonna say it's better than nothing, and it's pretty easy to get once you're in the second C. I'm gonna leave it right about there. And then we just have the basic katana. It's right there with the cutlass. And then we have Coco. And this sword is really good, especially if you have the control fruit. But not everyone has it. And it's I think it's a low drop chance. So I'm going to put it right about here. It's kind of hard. It's not really the best. I'm not going to say it's better than Dark Dagger, though. And yeah, it kind of lines up with everything there. So that's a good place to put it. I believe this one's called the Long Sword. This is dropped by Diamond. it's pretty bad. It doesn't show anything good, and it's pretty darn easy to get. For a second C sword, and especially the first sword you get in the second C, it's just kind of a disappointment. The Midnight Blade is kind of hard to get, and it's kind of good. I'm gonna put it right about here, right in line with the Bazinto and the Gravity Cane. It's just, it's great, and if you're in the second C, it's probably one of the best that you can get, especially in terms of PvP. But it's definitely lacking. And actually, I'm going to slide it back just a little bit because I don't want it being in front of the Gravity Cane. Ooh, what is this called? Pole Pipe, something like that. You can get it at Snow. Yeah, just especially because it's at Snow Village, it's cheap. It's actually one of my first swords. I'm going to put it more on worse and easy to get. It feels like there's a little bit of a club going on here, but you don't want any part of that club. Pole, Enel's pretty hard to beat in the game. So I'm going to put it a little bit more on the hard side, and it's not the best, but it's got decent moves on it. I feel like right there is kind of a deserving spot. But people are definitely going to be upset that I'm going to put it in front of the Buddy Sword, so I'm going to put it right about here. Either way, it's not going to make a difference. Pole V2, I feel like Pole V2 is only slightly better than it, and it's really hard to get. You have to fully awaken Rumble and have Pole to get it. It's just an inconvenience for a sword that's not that great. They definitely nerfed it recently too. We've got Rengoku, it's one of the best, and it's semi-easy to get. You just have to take out the Awakened Ice Admiral a few times, and you'll eventually get it. And then we have the Saber. It's really good, it's got good combo potential, but it's really hard to land, so I'm not going to put it the best, and it's kind of sort of hard to get. And getting it V2 is a little bit harder, so I'm going to leave it right about here and put it right behind the Dark Dagger. And then, what's this one? Wando, I believe? No. Sari. Not the greatest. Out of the 3 swords that you need for the true triple, it's probably the least memorable for me, so I'm gonna put it back here, and it's semi-hard to get because you have to find the legendary sword dealer. And then the Anger, I think it's one of the best, and it's kind of hard to get, so I'm going to put it right about there. The Z move is kind of predictable in PvP, which kind of sucks, but it is my favorite by far. Then we have the Shark Saw, and it's pretty good, especially for grinding. A PvP, it's okay for first C. I'm gonna say it's not the best, not the worst, and it's kind of easy to get. I'm gonna put it right on the line there, and I'm gonna want it to be a little bit higher up than the longsword, just to prove a point and say that I hate the longsword. Shisui is another pretty darn good one. I'm gonna put it on a little bit harder to get, but it's closer to the best. It's definitely better than the Buddy Sword in my opinion. But yeah, other than that, nothing great. Soul Cane, really good for the stun move on it. Otherwise, it's not the greatest. I'm gonna put it right here with the Buddy Sword, and it's pretty darn easy to get. You just need to go to Magma Village. And then we have the Spiky Trident. Again, one of the best, because you have to beat Do King, or I guess you can get it with Do Prince with a harder drop chance, I believe. I'm going to say it's about the same as Anchor. It's right there with it. Whether it's harder to get or easier to get doesn't really matter. Either way, they're both about the same difficulty, and I'd argue that the Anchor's a little bit harder. And then we have the original Trident. It's okay. It's basically just a first C Gravity Cane. I'm going to put it right about here. Yeah, I think it fits in right about there. Then we have the original Triple Katana. Easy to get, pretty darn bad. I'm going to put it right about there. True Triple Katana, they nerfed this thing so bad. They did my boy Zoro dirty. It's pretty hard to get, and I'd say it's right about here in terms of PvP. As for difficulty, yeah, I feel like that's a pretty deserving spot. And then which one is this? Is this Wando? I believe this one's Wando. Wait, hold on. Yeah, this one's Wando right here. And since I'm on Wando, I might as well grab it. It's all right. I feel like it's about here. Yeah, those 2 swords, just nothing really stands out about them. And then I believe this one's Tushita. Yes. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and take Tushita. It's pretty hard to get. It's not the hardest, and it's actually pretty good for PvP. Twin hooks, pretty easy to get, pretty good for PvP. anything around this zone here is pretty good for grinding. Curse Dual Katana is good for grinding. Which one is this? I know it's dropped by the Warden in the first sea. What's it called? Warden Sword. Okay, that I should have known that one. I'm gonna say it's pretty easy to get. It's got a semi-low drop chance, and it's not the greatest. I'm gonna put it right about here. It's all right. It's maybe worse than the Shark Saw. I'm gonna put it right in the middle there. It's not the worst. It's not the greatest. It's just a sword that exists. Yama is another really good one. I'm just gonna put it right with Tushita there. And then the Fox Lamp, I feel some people are gonna say it's really hard to get to the Kitsune Shrine. I think it's honestly probably the easiest. Alarm went off, sorry. It's probably one of the easiest swords to get, and the shrine is so easy to get to if you know what you're doing. I have some videos up on that too. I'm gonna say it's pretty easy to get, and it's one of the best, but it's not deserving of being right up against the line. It's probably even with twin hooks there, and that's it. I'm pretty sure that's every sword, but I'm sure someone will let me know if I forgot. Yes, the true triple dark blade didn't make it in, but no one here is really gonna reasonably attain it. So this is about where I'm gonna say everything lies, and if you disagree, I'd love to hear why. As for that, I will see you all in the next video.